Well, things are getting a lot worse as Jordan Lesley has deleted his social media account. What does that mean? Is he fired? Is he out as the defensive coordinator at West Virginia? Or is he just unable to handle it all? Let's talk about that and more on this episode of Locked On West Virginia.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What a day yesterday was as the Mountaineers blew a 10-point lead at losing to Pitt. And the backlash that has come after that has been, and let's just say bad. It's been really bad. Jordan Lesley, unable to handle it. This has got to be one of the most cowardice things you can do. You can't handle the heat. Is that what's going on? Or are you fired? Is that what's going on? Like, now we're left to wonder what's going to happen. I don't think he should keep his job. It's been proven over the last couple of years that he's not a good defensive coordinator. He's had a couple of good years. Those were 3 and 4 years ago. He's not doing something right. And like others have pointed out, this is very much like 2022. We were told all offseason that the back end was really good, the most athletic we've ever had. Like, it's literally on par with the same exact conversations we had in that offseason. And we're not going to fall for it again. You went out in the portal and you chose these guys. You chose these guys that are on the back end of this defense, and they're not working out. You can't live off the Beanie Bishop. Let's lay it all out there. Right before the end of the first half, what happens against Penn State? We allow a huge bomb, makes it 20-6, takes us completely out of the game, right? Basically changed the game. I think most of us can argue that it changed the game, right? Even though Penn State was better, you still never know what's going to happen in a 13-6 game. Making it 20-6 against that defense, it made it even harder than it would have been otherwise. Then after the game, when you were questioned, you said you were playing for the tendency, right? I'll never forget that. You were playing the tendency of the Penn State offense in game one. Yes, as a coordinator, Andy Kotelnicki has tendencies. I understand that. Aller has tendency as a quarterback. I understand that. Franklin, as a play caller, has tendencies, and I understand that. But you're trying to play for tendencies in a game where everybody's having their first snaps. It makes no sense to me. And so you said instead of playing the situation, which was don't let them beat you deep. It's literally that you have to do, right? Even if you give up a field goal there, you can live with it. But don't get beat deep. And yet you play man-to-man coverage and get beat deep by a guy that's probably a 4-3 guy. Okay, you can blame that on game one because we heard all offseason, hey, these athletes are amazing. They're amazing athletes. You know, we've got 2 Power 5 transfers coming in from Northwestern. Amazing. Okay. A quarterback in his second career start. 2 weeks in a row, by the way. Well, third career start for Holstein. Absolutely torches you. These aren't veteran quarterbacks that are torching us, guys. These are young redshirt freshmen in both back-to-back games. Burkett couldn't make it at Wisconsin. I don't know the reason. I'm not saying that he's a bad player, but he couldn't make it at Wisconsin, had to transfer to Albany, and he absolutely torched us with a good receiver. Fast forward to this week, and were it not for our defensive line just not letting him throw the ball, it's hard to see how many yards Holstein might have had. Because the only way we could stop them from passing it was to sack him or to hit him. Unbelievable. Truly unbelievable. I just can't live with it anymore. A change has to be made. Red Baker, please make a change. Force Neil Brown's hand. Give us something to be excited for. And make Jackson or somebody else on that defense the defensive coordinator. I don't know who you make the D coordinator. I don't even know of the bunch if there's somebody that's as good as Lesley or better. I don't know. Is Castile still around there? Like, he would be a great option. Can you get a Gary Patterson to come in on the fly? I don't know. Like, there are options out there. I don't know if mid-season you could make the change wholesale, obviously, for a new defensive coordinator. That's silly. But on the roster, anybody's got to be better than Lesley, right? And so maybe it was Jamil Adai all along, guys. Maybe it was really him, and that's why he stole or recruited some of our players to Miami and other places, Georgia, because he wanted that defensive coordinator job. Maybe he knew he was the better coordinator. I don't know. He may be an option. You may be able to bring in a dime mid-season if it's the similar system, but I don't even think it is because you changed the defense. Unbelievable stuff, guys. And unfortunately, I don't know if there's going to be a change made. I think he's just deleting his account to get away from the negativity would be my best guess, but we can hope that there's a change at defensive coordinator. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, is it time for Nicco? Is it Nicco time in West Virginia, or does Garrett Green deserve some more leeway, some more rope? We'll talk about that next on Locked On West Virginia. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. 5 Hour Energy fixes tired fast. Whether you have a long list to do for work or a list of DIY projects to tackle at home, take a 5 Hour Energy shot. That way you can check everything off your list, and if you're like me, you always have a large list of projects for the home. When you get your supplies for the project, don't forget the most essential supply, which is obviously 5 Hour Energy. That's right. With the zero sugar and a convenient portable size, it's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. The 5 Hour Energy website has flavors galore. Watermelon, tropical burst, grape, berry, and more. There's a flavor for everyone, and you really should try them all. On the website, you can even build your own 12 and 24 packs. Choose the flavors, and it's delivered right to your door. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that's the number 5, hourenergy.com, and use my promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order. It cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders as well. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. Garrett Green has been a massive disappointment 3 games into the season. I don't think anybody can disagree with that. He just hasn't seemed like himself. For the very first snap of the series against Penn State, but it's basically first snap of the season, we had some bad snaps and things like that happen, bad center exchange, whatever you want to call it. He seemed off and nervous and overhyped. Why is that? Why was Garrett able to play so loose and free last year and this year? Because he seemed like a completely different player with what you would assume is more knowledge about the game, more knowledge about the offense, with basically the same players minus a couple that, let's just be honest, they weren't world beaters. It's not like you're losing Stedman, Bailey, or Tavon Austin here. Like, you lost some guys that were decent. But I think it's what they could do that really hurt us more than anything. E.J. Horton was a downfield threat that you had to be ready for. He was not a great route runner, but as straight line speed goes, he was one of the fastest players that we've ever had in Morgantown. They've clocked him at like 4.2 levels of speed. And then Devin Carter was also a downfield. He was a good downfield threat. He wasn't really, really fast, but he was good at 50-50 balls, and he had 5 years of receiving experience at NC State. So he had a lot of experience, and he caught a lot of downfield balls and actually led West Virginia in catches last year. Those guys were all – and then Traylon Ray would go deep every now and then. And so – what Garrett Green was the best at last year has literally been gone this year. Second to that, his legs have been gone, right? Like we could all accept the fact that he probably wasn't going to be a perfect passer. I can totally understand that. I would be okay with that because of everything else he gives you, and that includes belief from the other players. But yesterday he was 16 out of 30, 210 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. and he had 49 yards on 11 carries. Last year, he would have probably had about 100 yards on that many carries. Teams have wisened up to what he is, and the tape is out there. That's normal. This happens. And West Virginia hasn't been making the necessary adjustments, but I think it's mostly because of the personnel. Our wide receivers have been absolutely putrid, guys, at getting open. They get open every now and then, but they haven't been very good. Robinson showed us what he could do last week a little bit. I feel like he's somebody to look at for the rest of the season. Bray had one catch downfield. And I think another situation where Neil Brown is playing the wrong players. I think it's obvious through 3 games that Bray and Robinson probably should have been starting. Gallagher has played well at times with Ray. But Hudson and Preston Fox have both been major disappointments, and it's fair to say that through 3 games. People could always change, but I think it should be reversed. I honestly think Bray and Robinson should have been our down threat guys, and that's a huge reason why we haven't been as successful. That's my personal belief. Cole Taylor had one drive yesterday where he caught 4 balls and looked like he was going to be a major threat the rest of the game, and then nothing. And so I think all these consistencies combined, like the way teams are playing against us, we need a guy who can throw it a little bit more, a little bit better, a little bit more in the windows, right? Garrett's passes are just a little bit inaccurate, and it's fair to say that. And unfortunately, I think Nicco could be the answer. Not only are you thinking about the future with Nicco, but you're thinking about the present, because I don't think there's a huge drop-off between the two. Nicco can run with it. He's a little bit more inexperienced. I have to give you that. But I think it's a conversation that can be had. Let me know down below. Am I crazy? Do you think that Garrett is just being dealt a unfair hand in this? Do you think he's being hampered by Neil Brown? Do you think that the players around him aren't good enough? Like, what is it? Like, why have there been so many no-shows on this offense? Jaheim White, basically a no-show. C.J. Donaldson has been really good. Offensive line has been not as good as last year. Everything that we needed to happen to be a Big 12 contender, it's been the opposite. And this is just life for us as West Virginia fans, it feels like anymore. We don't have the same level of talent that we used to have, and I don't know if we'll ever get it again. And I think it's time that we need to wise up to that. Or maybe I just need to speak for myself and say it's time that I wise up to that. Because I continually live in this fallacy, this fantasy, that we're going to get it back to the mojo that we used to have and be dominant like we used to be. In this world, we lose 2 out of 3 to Pitt, and the backyard brawl may not be coming back for a while. That's not a fun world to live in, where people have bragging rights over you, where people that you feel like you're better than in football are beating you. And yesterday, I'll say it again, the better team lost the game. Changes need to be made, guys. What changes is up to somebody for interpretation. But I'll bet on Nicco. I think he's been the future for a long time now. He's stuck this out, and I think he deserves a shot. Sure, we can see what Garrett looks like against Kansas, but I think he should be on a short leash. Sometimes benching players can be great for them. Look what happened to Jalen Milroe, for example. The difference between these two, Garrett's a 5th-year senior, guys. Kind of is what he is at this point. And so you're probably going to change what's around him more than change him himself. That's my personal belief. But at the end of the day, it's been a really, really tough season so far, guys. And I want to live in the fantasy that we can still win the Big 12, but I just can't, unfortunately. And I think we have to come to grips with the fact that the defenses on the back end is not going to get much better, and that Garrett they've got tape out on him now, and perhaps the coaches can't adjust properly, and maybe we need new blood in Morgantown in all coaching positions. Everything goes up for discussion. Everything is up for debate. Don't forget to like the video, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to Locked On West Virginia, and most of all, please share the video out to people around and let them know about the channel and let them know we're going strong here. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, we try to put a bow on this episode and what's really just a big pile of crap. So stick around. Episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by FanDuel. You heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, which was America's #1 sports book. Well, we have something a little different for you now through September 22nd. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you got to do is Google an account and a different form of payment. You can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com, which is America's #1 sportsbook. Okay, guys, so I've reacted to the Jordan Lesley social media deletion, which is loud in and of itself. I have gotten to, I think Garrett Green's time may be short. What else is there to react to? Well, let's talk about a little bit about what good happened yesterday, because there was a couple things that was good. And I think it's important to at least focus on some of that, because listen, those players fought their hearts out yesterday. They really did. And I don't want to lose that in all this. They fought their hearts out, and I hate it for them. I hate it for TJ Jackson. I hate it for Reed Carrico, who got hurt. I hate it for Josiah Trotter. I hate it for Trey Lathan. I hate it for everybody on the defensive line, Sean Martin. Without Eddie V, that defensive line played absolutely terrific. Nate Gabriel looked good. But TJ Jackson's a star. And he really showed up yesterday and took over the game at multiple points. Tyron Bradley looked good. Unfortunately, Ty French has looked overmatched and has completely been a disappointment. But what's weird about all this is those are all Jordan Lesley's players, right? So it's like, on one hand, I have to be balanced in my approach. Like, I'll admit, the front seven has been pretty good, especially against the run. Even against Penn State, you played the run well. But the back end, and look, Jordan Lesley personally overseeing the secondary, the safeties, right? So this is on him, guys. This is on him. But, yeah, so I just wanted to point out some players I feel like have really showed up through the first couple of games. And I'm really proud of a guy like TJ Jackson, who really needed to show up and show out this year for his tape. And I think he's done that. I hope he doesn't regret transferring to West Virginia. If you guys don't know, TJ was really good to me when he transferred to West Virginia. We talked, and he kind of gave me – I knew he was a silent commit whenever he was committed and all that. Really loved his tape. Anthony Wilson's been another disappointment. Unfortunately, Aubrey hasn't really showed up like he has in the past. I can go down the list. There have been way more disappointments than there have been just absolute smash hit home runs. But, you know, it's fun to live in a world of what if sometimes, and I like to think, like, just if they hit on this secondary, if they could have, can you imagine how good this team could be? It's really sad, you know? It sucks because I think this team's a team that can win some football games. But with the back end being as bad as it is, I just don't think that's going to be the case, you know? We can go back to 2012, and we can admit, like, this offense isn't as good as that offense was. And this defense isn't as bad as that defense was. But that team still won, I think, 8 games, right? Something like that. And so, you know, the days of outscoring people in the Big 12, I think, are over. There are too many teams that have pretty good defenses. And Pitt is not the best defense we're going to face all year, guys. Not by a long shot. Although Kansas isn't great, you know, it becomes a gauntlet after that, obviously. And we'll see what happens. There's still a lot of time left in the year. But overall, just really, really disappointed in how things have gone. And I think you guys all agree. keep coming back to the show. I know everybody's dejected and disappointed, but hopefully we still get the support we need here. I certainly have to keep uploading episodes and want to. Don't be a fair weather fan. Stick through it with me, guys. I'd like to thank you for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen today. For your second listen, you should find Locked On College Football. From NIL deals to never-ending conference realignment rumors, Spencer McLaughlin gets you ready for an exciting season on the gridiron. Find Locked On College Football on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. All right, guys, that's the end of this episode of Locked On West Virginia. We'll be back tomorrow with more reaction. There's going to be press conferences tomorrow. Perhaps we have some movement on the coaching scene in West Virginia. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think Neil Brown will make any wholesale changes, but maybe he surprises us all and makes a change. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Have a great evening, and I'm out.